Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the podcast. Today it's just me and my guest host, Blaze Shetler. We actually don't have my normal co-host, Cal. He's awesome, but he's not here today. So forgive us in advance because we are going to go absolutely probably rabbit trailing everywhere. We might be a little bit unhinged, and hopefully you'll be able to take something from this podcast. So say hi to Blaze, or Blaze, you say hi. I don't even know. My brain's going crazy.
Our conversations have been crazy just in the past 5 minutes, so I'm excited to see where this goes. But we have some pretty good topics.
Don't break the fourth wall. You can't look into the camera, but we can continue our conversation.
No, I want to look into the camera.
All right.
We're keeping that.
We got to keep it. We got it. All right. So, again, like I said, I apologize. But we are actually going to talk today about a couple different things, but one of which being the fact that I decided I wanted to train for an Ironman. And Blaze is shaking his head. I went to New Zealand back in December of 2024, and they were hosting an Ironman over there, and I was like, I want to do that. And I came back, and I was like, yes. So I decided I was going to do it. And then not only did I decide, I voluntold Blaze, who's right here, and Jesse, who's our producer. And what? I don't know if we're going to get through this podcast today.
You cannot make this.
Did it just break? No, it didn't. You broke the chair? All right, this is what happens when Cal's gone. Where are you going? Go get that chair.
Go find something to sit on.
He's going to go find something to sit on, guys. I'm going to break the fourth rule, the fourth wall, whatever you call it. I'm looking at the camera here, and I'm apologizing to the listeners, to the viewers. This is not our general podcast, and it's rough. It's rough. So if you're listening to this, we just had a chair just completely collapse on Blaze, which is was actually not at all planned, and it's unfortunate because now we're not going to get to the meat of anything interesting, and I'm just going to talk to you guys, and it's going to be boring. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely cut right here, and we're going to come back when we get a new chair. All right, guys. So we're back. Blaze has a more solid chair, and I mean, I hope we got that on video because that was actually hilarious.
It's got to stay in there.
Yeah, but now you're actually taller than me, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I like it. I'm sitting on a CrossFit box, so.
Yeah. Now you used to look up to me, and now I'm looking up to you.
Yeah, we can keep it that way from here on out.
No. Okay. Anyway, listeners, if what I was getting at before I was so rudely interrupted by Blaze's chair breaking, just so you know, we have a very good relationship and we give each other a massive hard time. But this is what happens when my normal co-host isn't here and we're going crazy. So recently I decided I wanted to train for an Ironman. That's what I've been doing. Blaze has been doing it with me. I voluntold Blaze and Jesse. We've been training for an Ironman. It has been a lot of work, and we have a lot more work to do. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Blaze.
Oh my goodness! So I didn't even know Arden had watched or saw people running an Ironman when he went to New Zealand. So when you came back, you were just like on your computer one day, like, we're all three running an Ironman. And I was like, cool, sure, when? Didn't even know what I was like kind of agreeing to, and you're like, yeah, we're all doing it. And I was like, all right, when? So we posted it and announced it, started telling people.
That was a bad decision, by the way.
Really bad decision, because now we have to do it. And then I looked it up and I was like, we're gonna die.
Oh, we are, and we aren't at the same time. Like I'm fighting this battle in my mind, like, okay, it's gonna be absolutely awful. But I've done a lot harder things in my life, and I'm sure I will do a lot harder things in the future. And this is one of those things where you're going to absolutely hate it during it, and then afterward you're like, man, that was incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
So I don't personally want to be a runner in like a high, like running or biking or swimming a lot, like high endurance training athlete. It's not as important to me overall. I want to gain. I want to have a lot of muscle, just mainly for the health benefits. I mean, it looks great, and I want my wife to think I'm sexy, right? But the health benefits of having a lot of muscle is incredible. So we'll get back into the training. I mean, you and I have been running. Jesse's been running with us. We haven't done any biking or swimming yet, which is a big part of that. Massive.
We've done some biking, like stationary bike training at the gym. But yeah, we've yet to get in the water, which is kind of scary. And I definitely think that'll be the hardest part looking forward. But the running, we've just been running, building our endurance up. We ran a half marathon last weekend, and I think we're still recovering from that.
Well, and,
I keep looking over
know
there.
What Ironman is, if you're just new to this podcast and you don't know what craziness we talk about. But this podcast today, we're talking about kind of Ironman and why we're training for that. But an Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run at the end of it. You have to do it all in 17 hours, and it is a huge amount of work and a massive undertaking, which sounds fun and incredibly daunting at the same time.
Yeah.
When you said last weekend we did half marathon, and I actually felt pretty good into it up to about like 10 miles, and then I just didn't fuel properly. And we have a whole kind of training routine that we're getting advice from other people who have done Ironmans and are into this high intensive workouts, and we're getting a lot of advice, learning a lot, because I don't know everything, and neither do you, and we're constantly wanting to learn. And that's kind of what Undefeated Men is all about: failing, learning. And we failed big time. I crashed after that run, and I've learned a lot from just training from this. But I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better than I've ever felt as far as running. There was never one point in my life I would have never thought that I could run for miles on end and actually feel like I could breathe. I actually feel like I can breathe now. So pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, that was nice. The breathing, like my lungs were trained to the point where that wasn't a problem throughout the whole thing, and just kept moving. I mean, I wasn't going super fast, but the runner's high, I'd never experienced that. I'd been like kind of okay, got into a rhythm, but like for me, it was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. I felt amazing, and I was just going. But then at 10 and a half miles, I hit a wall. Like I got hit by a truck. Yeah. And I was like, my legs cannot move another step. Like everything in me was just to get the next step.
Well, and it took you how long to do we're slow.
I did like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It was really slow.
2 hours. Or right
Yeah.
2 hours. It's funny because Jesse, our producer here, Blaze, you called him an hour into our run, right?
No. I called him right as we started our first mile. Okay. And I was like, Jesse, you were supposed to be here. Why aren't you running with us? He's like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to run that with you guys. But I just woke up. Like my phone call woke him up. And then he drives an hour to where we're running and finishes like right after all of us.
Like 15 minutes after I did.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. Outrageous. So yeah, guys, why are we running an Ironman? I wanted to, I've been challenged multiple times in my life, and overcoming a challenge I think is really, really, really beneficial for you. And this is one of those things that I wanted to say that, hey, I've done an Ironman. I wanted to overcome it. And I battled stage 4 cancer for 7 years. And it was a huge, incredible battle, and God has been incredibly victorious and taught me a whole bunch through that. But I wanted to also like, hey, after all that, I'm gonna go do this Ironman, and I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna crush it. I'm not gonna try to be competitive. I don't want to be competitive in that way. I just want it for me. It's me versus me. I said I was gonna do it. I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you on the reasoning, but
I mean, I just think if we're in a point in life that our bodies are able to do something like that, we're healthy and we want to go inspire other people to push through hard things, even if it's to a smaller scale in the moment. It's like, okay, why would we not? If we're telling people, wake up and work out, do a cold plunge, do this, start eating right. We have to lead by example, and the best way to do that is kind of be extreme in that way.
Well, that's another reason why. I mean, like being the founder, one of the founders of Undefeated Men, and I kick myself for it sometimes. I'll be doing something really hard. I'm like, oh, come on, really? Why do you have to not just say, hey guys, do things that are incredibly tasking your body, push yourself to your absolute limits and breaking point. Like, why do I have to do that? But I'm also like, I'm not just saying that. I have to live that.
Yeah.
I don't want to just, like you said, like preach it and not do it.
Yeah.
I want to preach it and live it.
But it gives such like a more fulfilling life because you're accomplishing things, and like even the small wins throughout the day just make your day feel more accomplished. You get more done, more productive.
So I will say, like guys, like whether it's training for an Ironman, whatever it is that you want to try to accomplish and crush and dominate, like I really advise anybody, if you're not athletic or if fit, or even if you are, find something that is hard, do it, overcome it, and like let's get better, because the mental, like cognitive, like help that you get from that, as far as like you get stronger when you overcome like difficult adversities. Way stronger.
Yeah. And I'm also excited to learn about like all the training and diet that will go into that, because running an Ironman, to get to that level of like athleticism or that get into that shape, your diet has to be dialed. All your training, you can't just go train. You have to actually have a plan, a program, all this stuff. So I'm excited to learn about that, how to fuel correctly. I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, I hit this wall at 10.5 miles. He's like, oh, well, you weren't having enough carbs per hour, and like broke down his whole thing of what he does for his marathon. So like,
well, it's a science, and I love having to do that. And when you do that, you realize how kind of pathetic you were beforehand.
Yeah.
Pushing myself near to the limits of what I should have been pushing myself. So that's fun. That's and it's also, you're like, man, I need to get with the program. So it kind of, and doing it with some other guys, like doing it by yourself, guys, if you have the mental fortitude to push yourself by yourself, by all means do it.
Yeah, good for you.
I commend you 100%. But if you can't, find somebody that you can go through pain with, and you guys can encourage each other and do it. And I mean, that's kind of what I did with Blaze and Jesse. I was like, why not?
Yeah.
Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I mean,
plus, these guys working with me, working for Undefeated Men, and they're like, we're a team. I wanted to, like, let's crush this as a team. And I think that connects us more, being Undefeated Men. Let's do this together. And that, that'll help us to be more cohesive as a team, work better together, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm excited. And it's interesting. I thought I would absolutely lose like all muscle when we started like endurance training. Maybe not all of it, but you thought I thought I'd get a lot thinner and be hard to put on any size. But I've actually gotten heavier, and it's helped with like cardio and stuff. All the additional cardio. Both of us have gotten a lot leaner because we started a cut last week. Yeah. But I've actually been able to put on size during the process. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that process 100%. All right. Well, we'll kind of talk about, I mean, like I said, we aren't swimming or cycling right now, really.
Just the time is hard. The time of like
we have our
weight training
regimen. So
Ironman training,
if you guys,
work.
Want to follow us on social media and kind of watch as we progress, and we'll kind of give you how we're going to fit in our weight training with our Ironman training. And if you think like weight training that's a lot too, and then added with Ironman, it's like a full-time job.
Yeah,
like what
it definitely would be.
In order for me to fit it in my schedule and hang out with my family and do the work that I need to do on my jobs as well, I have to wake up early. We have to wake up early to do it. So that's kind of what I've realized is like we're gonna have to wake up. We wake up really early, get our workouts done, and then maybe we can have something like in the early afternoon or the next morning to kind of get another thing checked out for the week. Yeah. The time management has definitely been something that we're realizing we have to work on, and it's changing a lot for us. But it's been really good the past couple weeks. So yeah, we're gonna start. We're gonna get some swimming lessons hopefully in the next couple weeks at a local rec center. Swimming lessons. Start swimming and kind of add that into our regimen probably a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't own bikes yet as far as cycling.
Yeah,
but we're at the same rec center. They have the training cycles, so we'll probably end up doing that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it comes in. Like, you got to do what you can do. So just if you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, and don't let that be your excuse to not do it, guys. Whatever it be in your life, whether it's actual fitness related or relationship or work, whatever. If you don't have all the pieces, just do what you can do. And that's kind of what we've been doing. Running, we're going to start applying, like putting swimming into the regimen, and cycling. But I don't even have a bike yet. Neither does Blaze. Not even if we did, I don't think it could fit in the gym here / office. So we're just doing what we can. I mean, we're going to start fitting those in at the rec center, doing the training, adding those in early mornings, and then hopefully someday, in the middle of summer, we can get a bike and start training.
Yeah. I was trying to set us up for a couple windows of transition into time management, because that's our next category, but we might just have to cut it to there.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of it as far as the Ironman training goes. There's a lot more that can be said that we just rabbit trail off of, but that's kind of all I wanted to cover for the podcast today. I did want to talk about what's really been on my heart, and I know yours as well, because we were both at a meeting recently that we were both seriously convicted. And shout out to Ben Stewart. He's an incredible man of God, incredible father, incredible husband, and incredible businessman as well. And God has just really blessed him. And he's been Blaze is my personal coach, and coaching us and not just business related.
Your life coach.
Put on the side, but life coach. And guys, I've got to say I'm seriously convicted. I was as far as I don't think I had my priorities straight. I said I was a Christian, and I was. I said I prioritized my wife and daughter, and I was a family man, and I did. But both of those things on both categories, I don't think I prioritized. And Ben helped me see that. So I was just wanting to talk about kind of what has been on our heart and what we've been convicted about recently, and hopefully it'll help you guys. And just listening to what we've been going through and talking about that. But I was talking to Ben Stewart, and I was like, hey, how do you do this? Because I feel like I have 4 or 5 full-time jobs and trying to get a lot done. And I was like, I want to prioritize my family, and I want to prioritize my relationship with God. And he was like, then prioritize them.
Yeah, he was like, it's simple.
It's simple. And I'm like, I never saw it like that, because I told myself that I have to work my bones to bloody knuckles in all hours of the night, and not and I tried to spend time with my wife and daughter, but I'd find myself not having a set time that I get off of work, anywhere from 5 to 9:30 or 10.
Yeah. And
it was always varied, and that was that's hard on a wife, and it's hard on your kids. And he told me, he was like, make sure you have a set time to get off work, that your wife knows it every single day. The majority, doesn't mean you can't have a one-off here and there that you tell your wife, hey, I'm going to be running late, I'm going to be working later this evening. That's fine. But the majority of the time, you stay true to your schedule and prioritizing your family. And the same goes for prioritizing your relationship with God. I wasn't doing that, but I'd wake up in the morning and I'd work out, and I was like, I need to actually get my devotions in with God and actively seeking him. That's kind of what we talked about, is that's one of Undefeated Men's core beliefs.
Yeah.
You have to be actively seeking God.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, you can say that you do that, but in my head I was like, okay, that's supposed to be natural.
I said I was.
Yeah.
You did too.
Yeah.
But we weren't.
But definitely not to where we watched his life and we're like, okay, we could be doing a lot better. Yeah. And say in my head, it's like, okay, maybe that's supposed to be natural, just time with God, worship, praying, stuff like this, even Bible time. But it's like, you set a schedule for everything else you prioritize. We set a schedule of what time we're going to work out to make sure we get it in before work. You have everything else scheduled, so it's not wrong to schedule a time to read the Bible, go spend time with God.
So like Ben Stewart, the way he put it is like, hey, if you say you prioritize God and something else comes up and you don't do it, then you're not prioritizing God. If you say you prioritize your family and something else comes up and that's what you end up doing, you're not prioritizing your family.
Yeah.
And if you got to keep to a schedule, and that's stuff that like I generally reject schedules personally, but I am convicted to and I've told this on the podcast before. I've been getting better at that. I was talking to Cal on the same podcast. I'm trying to get better, and I think I have been. But going to Ben's house, bro. I mean, you were there. Like this guy, listeners, he was what he preached.
Yeah, 100%.
He was, he's the spiritual leader in their home. He's an incredible husband and father, and everything else follows. It kind of checks all the boxes, kind of fall into place after that because he sticks to a schedule. And I'm sure he fails. He's human, right? 100%. So I'm not trying to like put him on this idolizing pedestal, but he's kind of killing it.
Yeah, and we just have a lot to learn.
We went there. We spent 3 days with him earlier last month, or actually not earlier, just in the middle of February, and it was life changing. So,
yeah, we went for business coaching, and what I took from it was like so much more than business. That was like one of the smallest pieces, even though it was in like changing the business direction, and definitely like helped more than I thought that would. Yeah. But the life-changing pieces from there came from like getting our priorities straight, time management, and honestly a roadmap, and just spending way more time with God since then.
Well, I've noticed too, because like this is one of Blaze. Like Blaze is an extremely driven person, and he's been working with me and for me since last October. And I've been noticing more and more the fact that like on a weekend, Saturday, and then after church on Sunday, you'll just be dedicated to work, just driven. But you've been burning yourself. Yeah. And just getting a talk from him and him pouring into your life, be like, hey, you need to cut off time. You need to cut off time because you're doing yourself and the business you're trying to build a disservice by just not prioritizing. Hey, I need to spend time with God. I need to spend time with friends and build relationships and also like getting away, like let's get some me time over here and move away from the business. And like yesterday I pulled up to my grandparents and you were playing volleyball with the guys, like that does a lot of good in someone's life.
And he also said, he put it in a way that was really cool. He said if you think you're doing it just to get more work done for the business, he's like, but if you don't have your life in order, you can't bring good work, and you're not going to be productive. So,
well, I love that because that's so contrary to the so-called hustle culture that's out there. Like work, 24/7, work. I wake up, I drink coffee all night, Monster Energy, Red Bull, work, and like there's no where does God fit in there? Where does your family fit in there? And in that culture, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And in all likelihood, most of the time they're not actually taking advantage of what they're doing. They're procrastinating, and then they're shoving. And I know because I adopted the hustle culture at one point, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like a year or so ago, and I was like, just like yes, work. And I was getting burnout, and I wasn't doing quality work. Was not. And everything was getting pushed to the last minute, and I ended up getting more stressed and just working harder. And it wouldn't work. It's busy work.
Yeah.
Busy work. So there's a lot of freedom in structure. It was everything like, and on a business side, from talking to Ben Stewart, you and I were talking, and I've gotten a lot of business advice from so many different people. I've read, countless business self-help, like as far as like personal character building, skill sets and stuff. So many different books from experts like who've really crushed it in their field. And I've gotten good directions, good pointers, but I felt like Ben gave a roadmap, like a straight up GPS, like, hey, turn right, go 200 meters, 200 miles,
meters.
200 miles.
Where are you from?
Climb. And it was so easy to accept because he lived it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of my point at that is like, hey guys, if you have someone in your life that you're wanting to pour into and you wonder why they're not listening, a lot of time that can be their own issues, but sometimes is maybe look and see what
clicking next
look and see if you're living what you're preaching.
Mm-hmm.
If you're living what you're preaching. That was one thing that, you know, even while we were there, we went to lunch with him and he was pouring into these young men. I want to pour into young guys or any guy, and not that I think that I'm an incredible fountain of wisdom. I don't. I have a heart, and God's put on my heart to let's help other men. Let's encourage each other. Let's build each other up. I mean, so many other guys have helped me, and I want to help other guys. And he did that right when we were there. So many, like there was a few guys and he just straight up was pouring into their life as he was pouring into our life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's what we're called to do.
Yeah.
So listeners, like literally pour into guys' life, like other men, kids, pour into their life, build them up, and call out the real men in them. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, God calls us to go make disciples, and I think I was convicted on this at a Bible study not too long ago. It's like, okay, I've been focusing on my relationship with God, making sure I have time for that. But it's like God tells us to go make disciples. So if we're not actively focusing on our own relationship with God and also pouring into someone else, building them up, making disciples, then we're not actually doing fully what God called us to do.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I don't know, where are we at time-wise, Jesse?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. You know, that's kind of what we'll call that a podcast for today.
Yeah.
And hope you guys listen again, and thank you. And remember, stay strong. A good man's never stuck.